Today we have a very special guest. She is the head admin of some of the largest Facebook groups for resellers on Facebook, obviously, or Meta. She has a lot of experience and she can help you guys out a lot. Your name, please.
Kayla,
Kayla. What platforms are you mainly selling on right now, Kayla?
Poshmark and Curtsy.
Curtsy. And how long have you ran those Facebook groups now?
A couple years. They're expanding. I started with Poshmark Community Buyers and Sellers, which is the main one, and then branched out to All Things for Resellers, which is all platforms. And then just recently started Reseller Boxes because that's the new trendy thing. People want to sell their inventory, but they're
Oh,
growing crazy.
yeah. So how does it work? Do people like sell their own boxes on there or you supply them?
So they could sell their own boxes. We try to have people say, hey, like this is the form of payment because I don't want to get into that drama of, hey, they sold me this box, they took my money, where's my items type of thing. So we try to have those rules set out in place. For Poshmark community buyers and sellers, all things resellers, and of course the reseller boxes, you could just look them up on Facebook and just join. You just answer the questions. If you don't look like a spam, we'll accept you. And it's a great community. It's from everybody in the United States, Canada. I have multiple admins helping me run the page because there's thousands and thousands of people on it and I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
do it myself. So it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, your groups have grown substantially. I think it has a lot to do with having the right people on your admin team and the right people talking about your groups. And word gets around. It really does, especially if you guys are providing reseller boxes now. Inventory is very hard to come by nowadays, especially good priced inventory and quality inventory. So yeah, I definitely will drop the link to that group in the description. And if anybody wants to check it out, decently priced inventory, and it's a cool community as well. So I was talking in my last video about networking and surrounding yourself with people who, do this type of thing as well, reselling and people who win. So that rubs off on you. It really does. If you're surrounding yourself with people who are successful, it's more likely that you can become successful. They can show you the ropes, explain things to you if you have questions, and Kayla's groups are awesome for that. Kayla, what are you mainly selling women's clothes right now, or which
Yeah,
category?
mostly women's. Occasionally I'll sell kids clothing. So my Poshmark closet is Libby Lou's closet. It is actually named after my daughter. I started in 2020 when I had her and I had all these clothes left over and I'm like, what am I gonna do with all these baby clothes? I don't want to keep them. She's my only child. I'm a single mom. So I was like, you know what? This is how I can make some extra money on the side. I work full time. I'm actually a nurse, so just having the
Oh,
balance and yeah, pretty cool.
that is
Uh,
cool.
yeah, actually, a couple of my coworkers resell clothing too, so it's
Oh,
pretty cool to be like, oh, this is what we do as a hobby,
right.
and it's like my little stress reliever. So when I'm like, oh, I'm having a tough day, I'm like, let me do something for my Poshmark and Curtsy, and it just does its own thing, which I love.
Oh man,
Easy
that's yeah,
money.
that's a lot of pressure. Do you work like a third shift or night shift or a day
Second shift, so
second
3 to
shift?
11.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
So when I'm getting out, sometimes I'll do like a silent live when I'm like heading home, be like, oh, let me get the people from like California, because I always forget about time zones. And a
Hmm.
lot of people I sell are from the West Coast. And
Yeah.
I'm on the West Coast, so
Yeah. Well, like half the people who are on Poshmark are from the West Coast anyway. So it's like you really need to pay attention to when you're doing silence or when you're sharing or the parties. Even some of the parties run late for me. 10 o'clock's late. I'm in bed by like 9 o'clock. So I'm missing that party, the free for all party. But yeah, you have to take that into account that there are people on the West Coast. So when you do something on Poshmark, keep those people in mind too. It might not be prime time for them, even though it's prime time for you right now. So you kind of get like two chances throughout. Well, you get a chance per time zone to make sales, which is cool.
yeah.
So you're doing lives, I think you
I'm
mentioned.
doing lives in person, which I love doing. It's just hard to have that balance because my main job always changes, like which days I'm working each week, and then I have my child, and I'm also in school on top of this. I'm going for my master's, so I'm just doing it all. And this money that I get from reselling, I put towards school, which is really nice. But sometimes I do the in-person lives. I mostly do silent lives. But every time when I go actually like in-person lives, everybody's like, "Oh, when's your next one?" And I'm like,
Yeah. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I give everybody credit who goes live multiple times during the week because you have to like set up. And at
Hmm.
first, I was like running numbers on all the items and like setting it up in my tray. And I'm like, this is just so time consuming. So, but this is my goal for the new, well, it's not the new year, we're in the middle of the year,
Hmm.
but to keep continuing to do more lives and getting out there.
Yeah, as you do more, I'm sure it will get easier, but it is still a lot of work. Setup, breakdown, packing, checking everything, making sure you're packing the right things with the right labels. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. But yeah, more props to those people who sell on Whatnot and just make that their
Oh my
main
gosh.
thing.
How do they do that? I had a live, it was like months ago. I bought a box off Helpsy. I had
Mhm.
like a little partnership with them and they're like, "Oh, here's a box." I was like, "Okay." I made like 10 times the money I put out for that box and I still had leftovers, but I had over 100 orders and I was so annoyed. At first I'm like, "Oh, this is great." And then I looked on the floor and I'm like, "How am I going to package these?" And then
Yeah.
I bring my items to the post office and they're like, "What is this girl doing?" It's just a lot of packaging because I like to take my items to the post office to make sure it's going out to my buyers.
Yeah. I mean, some people just have get picked up, right? From
Yeah, which is nice, but
yeah, they want to see it get scanned and everything. And so you have peace of mind.
oh, they have this big bin. I just toss my items in. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
see,
that thing. Yeah. Yeah.
that too. So I used to have them scanned. I was like, I don't have time for this. Let me just
Yeah.
put them in the box. And they always compliment on my poly mailers, like, "Oh, that's so pretty." I try to have it the season. So
Like, yeah, you have no idea
yeah.
what I just went through. Yeah, no, if there's a line at the post office, I'm just gonna put it on the counter and walk away. Let them scan it later. It's
Yeah.
fine. It really is. So for silent shows, are you scheduling like multiple in a day, or are you just doing one or two?
Multiple.
Right.
I try to at least do five
Oh,
scattered
okay.
throughout. If I'm doing really well, I'll restart like another one like an hour later. But I
Mhm.
try to have them scattered like in the morning, in the afternoon,
Right.
late at night. I do really well with silent lives when I'm sleeping.
Yeah, that's the
I'm on
best
the
time
West
to
Coast
do
and
it.
I wake up and I'm like, this is great. It's like Christmas, selling
Yes.
all these items. I'm like, that's awesome.
And you're using Posh Sidekick to do the silent lives.
Love. Yes.
You don't have to do anything for it. You can just literally go to sleep and
Yeah.
let it run, and it will make you sales. As opposed to having to be in front of the camera, holding up your items like a circus, singing, dancing. Some people are partying. Uh, you have to stand on your head for some of these shows just to make sales. With silent shows, you can just literally schedule it and go to sleep. And we pretty much do everything for you. We even do the cover shot for you. So
Oh, it's great. I
it makes
love
it easy.
using the silent live option all the time on my Facebook groups. I'm like, do the silent lives, do the silent. It has let me like do other things with my life. Like I get to go out, I get to do things, I get to sleep. It's giving me my
Yeah.
life back if you want to really think about it.
I
Rather
mean,
than sitting on the phone and
hmm,
like trying to do the silent or be in person.
that's literally as close to passive income as you could possibly get with reselling anyway.
Mhm.
It definitely takes a lot of the pressure off of having to do it manually. So what is your typical with being a nurse and going to school? What is like if you were focusing on reselling for the day, what's your typical like let's say you had the whole day to just work on reselling. What would you do first? Like what's your day like for reselling?
Always got to get my coffee.
Hmm.
Keep me going. Um, but it varies. I would try to get some items that I have ready to go list. Because sometimes I have to like steam the items, wash the items. I tend to wash mine because people have very like sensitive smells and
Yes.
people will be like, "Oh, this is an odor." So I try to wash my items. Packaging them up, I have them in a container and they're all like in this clear package, labeled. So when I'm going to find my items that I sold, be like, "Hey, it's right here. Love it." And it's labeled by a bin letter. People do numbers, but I do letters. I don't know.
Okay.
Um, but basically, I would have a whole bunch of items laid out. I try to list as much as I can in one day. So if I'm doing 10, I'll have 10 items and then I just start listing and I get them out. If I know that I can list more that day, I try to like pre-schedule them. So it will come off a different day, like Tuesday, Wednesday, when I know that I'm going to be busy.
Hmm.
And then I just put them in the bin and call it a day. So, but if I can list as much, that's usually what I'm doing. I go thrifting usually on the weekends because that's when I have free time,
Hmm.
or I buy online and I get it delivered to my door.
That works. That works. Without giving up your websites, do you find that it's easier to source online rather than in person? Would you prefer to just source online, or you like being in the thrift store, checking things out, checking for holes and whatnot? Which is better for you?
I like both. I've I can't pick one or the other.
Mhm.
I like having it delivered to my house because I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like, but I get annoyed sometimes when there's like a hole or rip and it's like, oh, like I could have been doing this at the store, doing it
Mhm.
myself. But I also like the feeling of going into a thrift store. For the longest time, I hated it because I'm like, the smell of this is like
Oh
disgusting.
yeah.
But now I'm like used to it. I'm like, this is cool, like finding unique things.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like getting that vibe. There's actually a place in Boston. People can Google this if they want. Garment District is one of the places I go to. They put all their clothes on the ground and you literally have to go like into the clothing and figure out what you want to pick up. And it's $2 a pound. It's great. And it's like cool because it's in Boston, so it's very like unique. Everybody's from all over the place because we have a lot of college kids, tourists,
Yeah.
all unique things. I find stuff from like Europe. I'm like, I've never heard of this brand, and it's from over there. I'm like, this is cool,
Yeah.
but it varies.
That's cool. So all you people from Boston, go check that out. I could put that information below as well. I mean, the more sourcing places that we have, the better. Nobody knows where to pick up anything anymore. They don't know if they want to do it online or in person or thrift stores. Oh, you guys just go to thrift stores. Well, yeah. It kind of takes a little bit of work to find good stuff, especially at a low cost. Thrift stores are like probably the best place you could go to
Mhm.
source right now. Again, with being a nurse. And how old is your daughter?
She's 4.
Four, okay. Having kids, I know mine's like having 3 kids in a row. So things can get very stressful. How do you handle stress? Do you frequently take breaks from reselling, or do you know, compartmentalize and just keep going? How do you deal with stress from reselling?
For reselling, it is my stress relief. It gives me like a little hobby. It's like my little side gig. So anytime I'm feeling stressed, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna resell. I'm gonna try to do something. Or whether that's for my Poshmark and my Curtsy, because I'm able to sync my Poshmark into my Curtsy account, which is pretty cool. Or I am helping out these Facebook groups, my lovely 3 Facebook groups. Right now, I'm running a free mentorship program where I took everybody that filled out a survey and partnered them up with people's strengths and weaknesses. So I'm planning to do another one in the summer for that, but that's a totally free program. So I've been running them that weekly for at least 8 weeks. I think I'm running it for.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool. And it's all the kindness of my heart trying to help others. And
Love that. Love that. That's amazing. Do you get a lot of people who are just so frustrated with reselling and you kind of help them out of that? What's your
yeah,
process for helping people?
so my biggest thing is sometimes, depending on the person, I'll just keep messaging them on Facebook, or if they want to like have a phone conversation because they see all these famous people on Poshmark, the ones that are always on lives and always sell, oh, I sold this, I sold that. And then also on the Facebook group, sometimes you'll see everybody with these packages. They have like 50 something packages, but
Mhm.
are they having $4 sales? Are they having $10 sales, $20 sales? And they're like, why can't I be like that? Like personally, I get like that, but I'm like, who cares how many items they're selling,
Yeah.
what they're making, how much they're putting out for the item. So having that conversation, which goes to like my advice to give to people is it's your own business. You could do whatever you want. And it's depending on what you're selling, what you're comfortable with. Some people do it part-time, whenever they feel like it, full-time. So it really
Yeah.
does.
I mean, I did a sale once where we slashed the prices and I literally had boxes to the ceiling that I was going to go ship out. And it was like, if I could really just take a photo of this right now, people would think like I made so much money, but I literally didn't make anything. I was just making room in my house. That's all I made.
Yeah.
I really didn't make anything. I just slashed prices and basically gave things away and made it look like it made it look like I made a ton of sales when I really didn't. So yeah, you're right. You don't know the story behind the sales or what people had to do to get those sales. They might have had to I don't know, run around the block naked a few times. Who knows? Who knows?
Uh,
Could be anything. So you're offering a mentorship program. That's awesome. How often did you say you do this? You're running it for 8 weeks. You do it,
Running it for about 8 weeks.
right?
This is our third one we've had. So we're
Okay.
trying to get the kinks out of, okay, what's working, what's not working. So my goal is to have it probably like 3 to 4 times a year. That's my goal for 2025. Because I'm trying to expand the groups. Joining the groups are free right now. I know a lot of people, you have to pay to join these Facebook groups, and I don't want people to be like, oh, I have to pay
Yeah.
all this money. I want to learn myself. That's the main reason why I made it. I have a lovely admin from Canada, Leanna. Shout out to her and her
Hmm.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Uh, and then just everybody else. That's the main reason.
You're surrounding people with other successful people who have done the
Positive
trial and
vibes.
error. Yeah. I mean, that's how you learn every day. You hear from a lot of people every day. You're approving posts, denying posts every day. I know what it's like to run a Facebook group. It's pretty tough. And the Facebook groups that you have are massive. What are your biggest reselling pet peeves that people complain about?
Low ball offers. They're always complaining, oh, this one load ball this for that price, $4, and I have it listed for like 40. And I'm like, okay, I get that, but we don't need 10,000 posts about this.
Yeah.
Another is the spam. Send me an email to this address or call me on my phone. And it's like, okay, we get this. I'm
Yeah.
about to make it just a rule because I'm like so sick and tired of it. Another one is the people that sell on the lives and they're like, oh, again, like I make all this money, blah, blah, blah. I make thousands of thousands. Totally get that. That's great for you. But sometimes it brings people down. Like I see both sides. Like I see that's great. I'm happy for you. But also too, I'm like, the people, it comes in waves. There's good days, there's bad days. I don't really personally know anybody that always has consistent sales of thousands of dollars,
Yeah.
The summer slowdown's coming, so that's something we have to look forward to. And some people aren't going to understand, especially if they're starting out the reselling business. They're going to be like, why am I not selling anything? And then get discouraged about it. So
Yeah. Those people who are posting their packages and being, I sold this, blah, blah, just be like, yo, run your numbers. Post those numbers. Let me see. Let me see
yeah,
your
show the
analytics.
evidence.
You said you sold this and that. Show us the numbers. Show us the money. We should create a channel, a Facebook group just for people who want to gloat and brag. Here, you want to post your sales? Here's a channel. You guys can all go there. We'll put you guys on a nice little island or
Maybe that could be
whatever.
a whole Facebook
But
group.
yeah.
They'll expand.
Oh, and you don't even know who's joining those Facebook groups. It could be you get everyone. It's like
Yeah.
the lint collector in the dryer. Gotta clean it out every once in a while. So Kay, if you were not resell, I think I know the answer to this question. If you weren't reselling, what would you be doing? Would you be getting into nursing more and or becoming like a doctor, or what would you be doing?
I honestly, I don't see myself not reselling now.
Mhm.
Ever since
That's
I
why it's
got
a
it,
tough question. That's why it's a
it
tough
is a
question.
tough question, and it took me time to think about it because sometimes I think, oh, this is great. I love how people do it full time, and I wish I had the time to do it. But I love my job, my full time job. I love being a nurse, and helping others. But sometimes I'm wondering if I should do something related to nursing, like donate clothes or to like shelters and stuff. So maybe down the road, if I get a lot of inventory, maybe that's something to give back to the community. That's the
Right.
biggest thing, like giving back, even like with the Facebook groups. I've learned so much and I try to share what I've learned, whether that's watching from the YouTube pages, like the YouTube channels or the Facebook groups. It's my biggest thing, giving back.
Now, the reason why I ask that question all the time is because you really can tell who's passionate about reselling when the person says that they can't picture themselves doing anything else or they just can't answer the question. You really know that that person has a passion for what they do, and it shows. And you love to help people, and that's a great quality. And keep that up. We need more people like you in this community. So I thank you for what you're doing. It's an honorable thing. It really is. But I do have one more question for you, Kayla. If you can give some advice to everyone out there who's struggling right now with summer slowdown and they're just really frustrated and they don't know what else to do and they're thinking about giving up. What's your best advice to give these people?
I think relisting daily, and posting, get that old inventory up into your Poshmark, get it more in the feed, changing your listings using Posh Sidekick and all the other things that you use, Magic Scripter too.
Mhm.
Uh, Getting those listings bulky, um, being positive, keeping that momentum. Like, I know we're going to have good days. I know we're going to have bad days, but appreciate those good days you're having. Look forward to more of those in the future. And joining Facebook groups and seeing what other people have to say. Maybe there's somebody that you can connect with that's local and be like, hey, you want to go thrifting together? I've had so many people on the Facebook group, which I love. They'll show like pictures like, hey, I just met this person at this thrift store, and it's great to have that community. I would love to do that. That's on my bucket list. Meet people from my community.
Yeah, that, like I said, surround yourself with like-minded people and it'll rub off on you. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for doing this. We'll put all the links in the description below. You guys can check out her Facebook groups, buy and sell groups, mentorship. There's a lot of value to be had from those groups, and I'm excited to see who goes ahead and joins those groups. So, Kayla, thank you so much. We'll be checking
Thanks for
back in
having
with you in a few months and
me. Awesome.
see where you're
Sounds
at.
great. Thank you.